It is that time. Time to get on the court, the fastest growing sport. That time of your favorite podcast show. It's time. It's Pickle with Mickle now. On the court today, another Pickle with Mickle interview. I dink and drop with Doug Kelton. Listen to the pickling as we are talking. Hope you enjoy it.
I obviously have a little tougher time getting into the market.
Right on. All right. So we're talking here. I'm with Doug Kelton.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Pickleball coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. You work at Pickleball Kingdom.
I do.
But I've met you here. We're at the what do we call it? Ocotillo Pickleball
Sunset
Plex.
Yeah. They don't really have a name. It's called Sunset Parks or something. Sunset Shores Park.
All right.
And you can see it on the sign in the front, but people are always getting lost when they come here. But this is a long time ago. They were asking the village at Ocotillo to start pickleball, and they were like, "We're pure tennis, no way." I'm sure they're sort of wish they would have rewinded and answered that again. So finally the community of Ocotillo said, "Okay, we'll just build you your own pickleball courts," and they did this, and I think it was like almost 2.5 years ago, or almost 3 years ago. And before they started, I remember the HOA president, Wally Brown and Barb, and they asked me if I wanted to be the coach here. I had been giving Barb lessons at the lakes in Tempe, and so I said, yeah, I'd love to do it, but it was right at COVID time, and so it took them like a long time to get this thing going, right? And I waited, and finally it started, and I started with them, and I think they were afraid that there wasn't going to be people here, and so they said, we want you to teach these free clinics for us on Tuesday nights. We'll pay you, but they're free to our members.
For the members, okay.
For the residents. And that only lasted like a year, and then the courts were jam-packed. So they were like, we don't really need those lessons anymore, but they let me stick around and teach, so I feel really, privileged for that, and that's been a great thing for me here at Ocotillo. But yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I mean, I started coming down here probably right after COVID, around 2020. That's when I saw you here. I've got a little group that plays down here all the time, and it's always packed.
Right.
And I mean, that's the great thing about pickleball is, let's back up a little bit. How'd you get started in pickleball? Tennis background, all pickleball? I mean, give us a little background on yourself and your story.
That is a good story, I think. I've told it a million times, but I had no problem. This is probably the first time on a podcast.
All right.
So I was a tennis coach. My first job out of college as a Sun Devil at ASU in 19.
Go Devils.
Yeah, that away. Forks up, baby. Although I have two daughters now that go to U of A. So.
Nope, nobody heard that.
No, exactly. You can take that out, right? Anyhow, so I was, my first job out of college was the tennis director at the Wigwam Resort, okay? And I remember, that was like, so I was a tennis coach. That was my thing. I wanted to be a tennis pro. And that lasted a little while, and then I got into a different field after 8 years of being the tennis pro at the Wigwam. Then I started in advertising, which is crazy, but I always wanted to be a computer graphic artist.
Okay.
So I went from, in those days, in 1993, you could make good money as a tennis pro. Okay? So I went from making good money to making no money.
It's a little bit of a departure.
Yeah.
Coaching tennis,
right.
And now we're jumping into graphic design on the computer.
Yeah, and somehow I got a job, and I did that for probably 16 years, but I never stopped teaching tennis. I always would do it at nights, do it on the sides. And then one time I was go forward, I don't know how many years, probably 2000 and 10 or 11 maybe. I'm working at Dobson Ranch, which is where I live and still live, and I'm working for their HOA. I'm putting together their monthly publication, so I'm sort of like that that graphic design, right? But I'm also their tennis pro. And all of a sudden, this hot new thing comes out called Pickleball.
And this was, now hit the year again, this was around 2010?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think, Mickle?
I really heard about it in 2019, 20.
Yeah.
And it's really come up then, but I mean.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 12 years or more. It's teaching pickleball.
Yeah.
Been teaching tennis for 1,000 years. But pickleball so there was a time when they made lines on the tennis courts at one of the different facilities at Dobson Ranch. There's like really nice, HOA facilities there. They have tennis courts on the lake, so they lined some for pickleball. And this lady asked me if I wanted to go play pickleball with her, who I had taught tennis. And I said, I've heard about this pickleball thing. Let's go. I don't have a paddle. You got a paddle? She gave me one of her paddles. I played with her. Obviously, because of tennis, I was decent at it. And then another lady who was there said, hey, will you teach me a pickleball lesson? And I told her I never taught a pickleball lesson. I don't even hardly know the rules. She said, what's the difference? Tennis, pickleball. I said, all right. So literally probably taught maybe 10 more tennis lessons after that, and then I've never taught a tennis lesson again.
All pickleball.
All pickleball. And
for my listeners, a lot who are new to pickleball, right?
Yeah.
There's that big question. Oh, it's just like tennis. No, it's really not.
No.
Because my background was tennis. I grew up playing tennis, fun, never competitively at baseball. I played all sports, so I'm just a sports guy.
Right.
But my tennis brain kicks in at pickleball, and it's a detriment.
Yeah.
Right? I want to hang back on the baseline.
Yeah.
Or I want to charge after I serve.
Right. Or you sort of always backing up, playing defense. And if I can elaborate on that, so tennis players, good tennis players, probably like yourself, will eventually make great pickleball players as soon as they sort of get rid of all their tennis habits. So the things that you mentioned, I was playing in my first pickleball tournament after I had been playing for about a year. I said, okay, I'm going to join a tournament. Had to drive way out to Surprise, and I joined this tournament. And me and my partner were both good tennis players. So we were beating all these, at the time, old people. The whole thing was for old people.
Right.
I was, 45? Which is not young, but at the time I was a baby in pickleball. And so we played this match. We won a bunch of rounds. And then the referee comes over, puts his arm around me, and he says, man, you're really talented, but I can tell you're a tennis player. You're gonna get your butt kicked in the medal rounds. And I'm like, who's this guy think he is, Sure enough, man, we get in the medal rounds. We play these two guys from Wisconsin. And at the time, we were 4-0s.
Okay. And
they just killed us. And it kept happening until I finally stopped, backing up off the kitchen. And I said, I'm just going to, hold my position, plant, and stay up here. Maybe one drop step is the most I'm going to do until someone lobs over my head, and then I got to turn and back up. But that one little thing right there, I sort of brought me to the next level, and then I got all the way up to a 5.5 at one time as a tournament player, which was, I did not belong there, and I had to petition the association for a year to get back down to a 5.0, which they did for me finally. And then again, I used to play tournaments every month at least one or two.
I was going to ask, how competitive did we get? Playing on
much. A lot. Yeah, and when I was a 5.5, I had no idea because I wasn't really into it as much, but there were people that I teach pickleball. They were always on checking ratings, and watching YouTube and everything. So I kept getting all these congratulations, Doug, I can't believe it, this and that. So I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, you just got bumped up to a 5.5. And I'm like, I don't want to be a 5.5. I'm not a 5.5. That's pro level at the time.
Right? That's pro.
Yeah, at the time. Now the pros are outrageously good. So, I said, what are you guys talking about? They said, you're a 5.5. They said I was only one of 9 guys at the time over 50. I think I was 49, so I was pickleball 50.
Okay.
And I was one of 9 guys in Arizona at the 5.5 level. And that was quite an honor, but at the same time, I didn't belong there.
Right.
I didn't even play any tournaments because there are no real tournaments for 5.5. You got to pay.
That would be a pro, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
then,
you'd need to step right up.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, and so at the last tournament down in Texas, this past weekend, the PPA one.
Yeah.
At 1,500 registered players for this.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that was including the amateurs and the pros.
I think so.
As I watch pickleball continue, and it's coming, it's growing. We've seen it on TV. It's getting even more popular.
It's amazing.
We've got the PPA over here. And,
Yeah.
I ask people like you this all the time. We've got the APP over here. Then there's USA There's a lot of pickleball.
Yeah.
And for people, I think, to continue to help it and for it to gain a little more of the traction on TV, we got to skinny it up, I think, a little.
It's a good point.
So that we can see these top players play each other.
Yeah.
Because only sometimes are we seeing some of the players come over from tour to tour.
Yeah.
Which they can do unless they're completely obligated to one or the other. But then you see some who play in the MLP.
Right.
But I just think from a sports guy perspective, and since I'm kind of in the pickleverse and know some of the players, people who are starting to understand it's fun to watch and it's fun to play want to back some of these horses, and they need to see them play each other.
Yeah.
I think it would be pretty cool.
I think if you think about it, all sports went through that. Like the, NBA didn't it have the ABA where they played with a weird ball and there was Dr. J and then they became, and they got into one. Now you got golf that's trying this live thing. And
look what this happened today.
What happened today?
They came together.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Exactly.
The Live Tour and PGA.
Yeah,
right?
You're right.
You got to follow money. It's all about the money.
Even the NFL, right? At some point did that.
Well,
wasn't Joe Namath and
AFL, NFL, but once they got the one, you're not stopping that train. I mean,
right. But that's a great point, Mickle. I'm sure that you probably know more about like professional pickleball than I do. I am so clueless. The people are always talking about. I don't even know who. It's crazy how popular it is. So I'm constantly teaching pickleball.
Yeah.
And then I'm a school teacher also.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't do this full time. I probably could, but it's exhausting, and I'm always teaching.
Yeah, I mean, bring it back to that. I mean, you do clinics down here on Tuesday nights. You do them also on.
Oh, during the season, we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 2 on Sunday. So 5 total clinics here.
And how many people average in the clinic? I see a bunch. I mean,
yeah, it pretty much fills up. Really, we can only do 8 because you got a lot of people here, and you can't be taking courts up to do clinics, so it's tough here. It's like we hope to get our court reserved, and then we'll probably try to take one of these courts. But once it gets crowded, it's a little uncomfortable. But there was a time when I would have 24 people in my clinics here, but that was before it got crowded.
Yeah.
So the people really, really hungry for lessons, and there's really not a ton of pickleball coaches in town, really.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to, do you know Becca? Did you know Becca?
Absolutely.
All right, yeah. So
Becca.
she just went back to Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
And I talked to her on my show before she left. I've been chasing her around for a little bit.
She must have been quite a show.
She's a hoot, right?
Yeah, she's awesome.
But she mentioned the same thing. She's like, look, I love pickleball. I love teaching people pickleball. Yet you can't find a lot of coaches, right?
Exactly.
Who have the time, take the time, and do it.
Right.
And I find that for the fastest growing sport to be a little. I mean, come on.
I know. It's like why? And I remember the day when I was a tennis pro. There was tennis pros everywhere, but I don't think there are even that many tennis pros really anymore. So. I don't know.
Tennis don't know.
Isn't as popular as pickleball now.
I think it's declining.
Yeah,
right. I think on the pro level, certainly if you're really good at tennis, you keep playing tennis.
You're right.
Because the money's there.
Yes.
But there is some money coming in pickleball. But there's another question I have. In your clinics, do you see younger, like teens, young children? What's the mix? What's the demographic mix?
It's definitely gotten a little younger in my clinics, but not like we try for instance at the Pickleball Kingdom to have a youth program, and it's hard it's hard. There's just kids right now are still not really familiar with the sport, and so they don't have high school pickleball yet. I think that soon. I think it's going to be in the Olympics in 2028, probably when it's in LA.
In LA.
So at that point, you might have a little bit more of the kids seeing the awesomeness of the pros and all the things they can do, and getting more involved. But it's getting younger. I mean, look at around here, pickleball at Ocotillo.
Look as we look around right now. I mean, young people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big misnomer that folks still don't get.
Yeah.
Because my main exposure to pickleball, I mean, I play golf too. And so you're out on a golf course, you see those little pickleball courses. You see people dunking this pickleball thing around. And you look and it's that's when I retire.
Yes.
I'll play pickleball. Well, no way.
Oh,
when
man.
you got the young girl is one of the top players in the world.
Yeah.
And I mean, come on.
Right.
I caught a glimpse of her playing the other day and just went, oh my goodness.
I know. It's
and, and as I said on my show, folks, go find the YouTube clip of the final points of that singles match, and you'll realize it's fun to watch, and you'll get into it, and you'll want to play.
Absolutely, I think that the exposure. I think they just need to keep the wheels cranking. I think you're right about maybe let's stop making so many different leagues and come together. But, I think they just need to keep momentum. We've been saying that it's the fastest growing sport in America now for 10 years or more.
Right.
I mean, you'd think it'd stop at some point.
But it's trending
it just
up.
keeps going and going.
And I think you mentioned a good point is at the, scholastic level. High schools, I think this won't be, like around here, lacrosse is basically a club sport.
Right.
Not really a high school sport. I think pickleball can become that high school sport.
Yeah.
And we'll see the same type of battle you see by the schools to get the pickleball players, just like they want the football guys from Saguaro to come to Hamilton or this or that. I think it'd be great.
It would be. I mean,
because we sit here on Monday nights when I play, Mondays and Wednesdays, and the group I play with, some of their kids are still in that high school.
Yeah,
and they've got a good pulse on the high school football scene.
Yeah.
And so imagine when that enthusiasm is pickleball.
Yeah, it's getting there.
I think so.
It is. I know there's more people our age that I talk to that are like bringing their kids here that are in college, or we're in high school and they're playing more. And then I see the kids, they'll get a group of, at one point here, there used to be 3 or 4 courts going of high school kids. And then, of course, people are like, you guys got to use the racks and all this, and they didn't get it.
Right.
And
Next up and clear off. Right.
And but I'm sure they went somewhere else because they loved it. You can tell. Yeah, so I think you just need to keep letting it take its course, and I think it's going to happen, probably in the next 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah, I think definitely 28 LA Olympics, we're going to see it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that will, I think, shock the world when we see some of the world people play in pickleball with that badminton, ping pong, true background.
Man.
I saw a video of somebody hitting pickleball with the underhand ping pong grip thing, and I don't know if it was just for show because they could do it.
That's cool.
But it was pretty cool.
I've seen crazy things like, have you ever seen a paddle that just has a bar, like a handle? Or it's not like it's like that, but it goes vertical, and the guy yeah, and this
interesting.
They were trying to make it big like 5 years ago, but I haven't seen that really. But I mean, there's all kinds of things going on.
Well, there's all sorts of things coming out. I mean, the sport's growing with all the different paddles. Like you can see the different ball types. Like, what kind of ball do you teach with? What do you use?
I usually use Franklin's. People, the balls are hilarious. Everyone's always trying to make a ball.
Right.
And really, Dora still has most of the market.
Okay.
But Franklin is, and they put a little X on their ball. So they've gotten pretty big too. And
well, you hear around. So I play here. I play down at Gilbert Park a lot. Been over to the Legacy Park before, but people are always like, "Oh no, I got to play Franklin." So I was at the store, and they didn't have any of the yellow ones, right? But they had the Franklin X40, and it was orange. No worries.
Yeah, it's different color.
And
everyone's
People freaked out.
People freak out.
They're like, we can't play with that. I'm like, it's the same damn ball.
It is.
And I thought I was clever because it was around like October last year. I'm like, it's perfect for the fall and Halloween.
Nice.
We'll play with the orange ball. What's the difference?
You had a good point. What the heck? Yeah, but it's really funny how people are so particular to that because.
And I think I bought it might have been a Dura or maybe Onyx.
Onyx is
ball?
like a little super ball.
Shiny or okay. But one of the ones I got was kind of felt a little smoother, shinier. And people are like, we can't play with that one. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't win. You guys bring the balls.
They use a ball at Pickleball Kingdom that's really good called Core, C-O-R-E. I think that from the very beginning they got in there and said, we'd like to be your ball of choice.
Gotcha.
So that's a good ball, but, even at Pickleball Kingdom, I got a basket, there's all kinds of different balls. But boy, if you pull out that Onyx ball, what the heck? No, everyone starts complaining.
Right.
It's too easy. It bounces too high. The point about Onyx is it doesn't crack. And these things are expensive.
They crack. Yeah.
I have to buy like balls all the time. And
we were playing last night, and just right midpoint. Guy, I mean, it was like it's like you hit your 9-iron and just stopped.
Yeah, right.
And we're like, that thing's cracked.
Yeah, you
and
can hear it.
And he's, well, what do we do about the point? I'm like, we'll play it over. I mean, it didn't bounce. It just died.
Yeah, if you're in a tournament, you got to play that point.
You keep it, right? They would have lost that point.
Right.
It would have been our point.
Right, and then you change balls after that point.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, how about some of the rule specifics a little bit, for the audience? When you serve, it can hit the net. Mm-hmm. It's got to still clear that front line.
The kitchen line.
It's got to clear the kitchen line, but it's good. It's in play.
It is, yes.
There's no second serve or anything like that in pickleball.
This was new in 2021 when they started using they said, okay, people, you can drop the ball and let it bounce.
To serve.
That was a new rule. And at the same time, they said no more let courts, which means we would, put the ball back to the server and say, take another one, another one. And then they stopped that probably because more people were playing. They wanted to get those tournaments going, make more money.
Keep it moving, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So they said no more let courts. So now you got to play it. And boy, that was a hard adjustment because we'd been playing for 10 years. Stopping
similar
the
to
ball
tennis,
and take another one.
Yeah, second serve or whatever it is, first serve, however we want to say it.
Yeah, so that was an interesting rule change, and now normal, everyone just deals with it, and it's got to clear that like you said, but all the other, the sideline, the baseline, and that center stripe are all. Even if it just touches a little bit of that, it's good.
Yes. Okay. So somebody challenged me the other, and personally, I think Becca said I'm mid-3 player.
Yeah.
I'll take that, right? I only play every once in a while. I got to get better. You got to practice to get better.
With Becca, it probably means you're like closer to a 4-0.
I don't know if that is true. I'll take the 3. I was happy with it. I was happy about a mid-3 is good.
All right.
But we were playing and they challenged me because the ball hit the line and it's good. I'm like, no. The back line, if it hits it, it's out. I'm like, no. I've never heard that.
That's ridiculous. The back line is always in. In fact, in that same year, they had to put a stipulation in the rules saying that if the ball is anywhere close to the line, play it. Because everyone was talking about how the pickleball doesn't compress like a tennis ball. So anything that was even close, pickleball out. Everyone would say it was out.
Right.
And people were like, no way, that was on the line. No, it was just, the ball doesn't compress. Baloney. Some of these shots are coming down with, the topspin rotation. You think about how hard the pros hit it, plastic or whatever, it's still compressing. And so they said anything close, just play it. And you're talking about if it looks at all like it hit the line,
you keep it, you go.
You just play.
When that's one thing about these courts, right? And you can get jammed in the corner. Yeah. Somebody serves you deep, and it could be tough.
Totally.
And I've had that happen to me
jammed
a few times.
It's
for
good.
Sure. It's good when you're serving it. It's good when you're the jammer, not the jammee. Now, down at Pickleball Kingdom, now that's a membership type thing available. Now, do you teach lessons there too?
All the time.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
And how many, is there another Pickleball Kingdom in the Valley or just the Tempe location?
There's soon to be.
Okay.
I think it's my understanding that they went with this big franchise idea and, came rolling out with that. And I think that they've got 5 franchises.
Okay.
And I don't think that's knowledge that I think it's public knowledge.
Okay.
So
we're not giving away corporate secrets here, folks.
I hope not, or I'm in trouble. I don't think so.
We'll delete that part.
I know they're not. They're doing 3 more in Arizona. They're going out to the west side, I think, somewhere else.
Nice.
And then they're, and probably Gilbert. That's the hot place.
Let's hope so, yeah.
So they're doing 3 more in Arizona and then 2 more somewhere else in the country. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
So they've supposedly franchised 5 of these bad boys. Well, so that's cool.
Just the growth of the things like Pickleball Kingdom, which I say, they're top golf for pickleball.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Pickleball
right.
Kingdom. Chicken and Pickles just opened one out in Glendale.
Really? See,
Yep.
I didn't even know that. You're the man. They've been talking about that for years and years.
Yeah.
So they did it. That's cool.
I talked to the Chicken and Pickle guys out at Desert Ridge when PPA was up there, and they were super excited. I'm like, oh, you guys are smart. Yeah. Super Bowl time, of course you're opening right now.
Cool.
I think they missed the launch date there, but I think it's open right out there in Glendale. I got to get out there.
Awesome.
I want to do a pickle with Mickle at Chicken and Pickle.
There you go, man. I wanted to. I've never been to Chicken
I haven't been there either. I see the pictures all the time, and it looks great. I got to come down to Pickleball Kingdom and get some game going too, man.
Come there, man.
Hey, I tell you what, where are we at? I told you I wouldn't take too much of your time. You got a few more minutes?
Sure.
We good? All right,
Absolutely.
cool. So, for yourself, promote a little bit about yourself. How do people find you, get in touch with you if they want a lesson outside of Pickleball Kingdom?
Yeah.
Are things here reserved for HOA members at Ocotillo, or how's that work?
Yeah, there's pretty much, because it's really important that we get a reserved court. So, of course, when it gets crowded, we've got a court reserved for lessons. So that would be for more private lessons, so they have to be residents. But when we run these clinics, as long as you have, I would say, a 50-50 split of residents to guests, you can do these clinics. And you can find the Ocotillo clinics online at signupgenius.com, which is an app and a website. And that's how you find out about these clinics. And if you search my name or my email address, which is douglas.kelton@cox.net, then you'll find all future clinics at Ocotillo.
Okay.
I mean, back in the season when we started, really, I had some help with a lady named Grace. She said, let me just take this from you because I'm teaching. I wasn't getting my invitations out on time. So she took over this Sign Up Genius for me, and she was amazing. And so she's got it booked out 3 months filled up clinics. But we haven't even done any yet for the fall season. So if you go on that app, you'll be able to sign up for future classes.
Awesome.
That's how it works here. And anyone who wants to it's hard to teach private lessons because you don't want to go teach at Pecos.
Right.
They got signs that say no making money here. They have City of Phoenix, but people try it all the time.
Right.
But it's awkward when you get caught by someone.
Wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I mean
the pickle police.
Yeah, they are around, especially at Pecos, and so that's why I'm lucky to have this, and then the Pickleball Kingdom where you're part of an organization. Or other than that, it's really hard to teach.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do it at the lakes, but that was for lakes members, and then they let guests come. So I had a nice little business there, and then that was pre-COVID, and that sort of ruined that. And then I started working here. But Pickleball Kingdom is a great place. If you take a lesson from me there, you don't have to pay an extra fee. You just have to pay my lesson fee. You do not have to be a member to take a lesson from me. They also offer free lessons at the Pickleball Kingdom. There's 3 a week. They're called Pickleball 101. And if you go to the Pickleball Kingdom website, which is, I believe, pickleballkingdom.com and then they also have an app, Pickleball Kingdom app. If you go there, you can find all about these Pickleball 101 classes, and you can go take a free class inside the Pickleball Kingdom.
How about that? Free class outside of the heat.
That's right.
At Pickleball Kingdom in Tempe. I'm here with Doug Kelton. He coaches down there. We're here outside at Ocotillo, and we're going to take some pictures for the old Instagram here in a minute. Hey, but Doug, I really appreciate you giving me some time. We said we'd do it. Yeah. We did do it. Am I going to hit some balls with you before your group gets here? How about that?
Yeah, we got some time.
I think we got some time to do that, but we'll do that off the air, and then we'll come back, and Doug will give a little review of my play. How about that?
Awesome.
Doug, again, I appreciate it. I'm going to shake your hand. Makes for great radio when we shake hands and nobody can see it.
Yeah, well, we did. I can attest to it.
Thanks again to Doug for joining me on the court. I had a blast. It's always great to catch up and learn more about pickle people in the Pickleverse. If you want to catch up to Doug yourself, you can go down to Pickleball Kingdom and find him. Go to pickleballkingdom.com. Also, douglas.kelton@cox.net. Get a lesson from Doug. I think you'll be better for it. Have a great hump day.
Dinking, smashing, third shot, dropping, got pickleball fever, and it's not stopping. It's Pickle and Mickle. Pickle and Mickle. Pickle and Mickle, all right.